Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I have a really exciting show for you today. I have a author on the show who's actually been a guest to talk about something else, but today we're going to talk about a book that he has brought on Amazon that I've seen and actually ordered, and it's titled Passion for Real Estate Investments. And again, welcome to the show, Fuquan Bilal. How you doing this morning?
Thank you. I really appreciate this, Mike. It's really an honor to be on your platform. I like what you're doing, with the youth and the whole movement. So I really appreciate you taking the time actually to discuss the new book that I have out, Passion for Real Estate Investments.
Well, it's part of what we have to do when we get to this point is give back and help others, whether that's helping out the youth or helping out busy professionals or whatever it is. I think a person is measured not by what they have, but what they can give back. And I see that, and I'm attracted to that in you. So why don't you flash the book, and then we'll talk about it, because it's always fun to flash the book.
Yeah, this is actually my third one. This is actually a book, not a pamphlet. I wrote my second book, and we'll talk about that a little later, but a buddy of mine ordered it and said, hey, I got your pamphlet. It was only 29 pages. So I made sure this time that, I filled it up. It's tough, really, because, writing a book, as you know, it takes time, and you want to make sure that you're adding value. You want to make sure that you're delivering the right information. And for me, this is just something for me to give. Like, I don't get rich off of selling books. Yeah. This is for, like you just mentioned, this is a value add. A lot of these books, when people see me, I give them away for free, like a business card, because people, they throw away a business card, but a book will sit there. Somebody will pick it up. Somebody will learn from it. So it's just a way of me of adding value, telling my backstory. What I like about this book, besides the other two that I've written, was this one go a little bit about my journey, which is my favorite chapter. This is my favorite chapter, the journey, chapter 1. And it talks about how I got started, what gave me the inspiration, how I started in sales. I dedicated this book to my mom because she installed that hustler spirit in me, taking me to, you might know them as bazaars or flea markets, where you go out and you sell stuff from the table. She used to actually go to Chinatown in New York and pick up stuff half price, and then we would go out to the venues on the weekend, and me and my younger brother would stand out and we would sell T-shirts or handkerchiefs or whatever we could. So I talk a little bit about that, how I got started, in the sales business.
Well, that's so shout out, mom. Go, mom. That's
Absolutely.
awesome. I think that hustler spirit is it's funny. The hustler spirit is something that's been around for a long time. It's maybe been named now, and it's certainly being celebrated now like never before. But you and I are on the let's just say we're mature, right? We've been in the game a while, and I feel like I've been hustling since I was 12 or 13, buying broken down bikes, fixing them up and selling them to friends, or working under the table at a dry cleaner or whatever. So some folks I talk to act like hustling is new, and it's not. It's with social media, it's certainly celebrated a lot more than it used to, but I'm attracted to people know how to hustle. And like you said, right? Your mom gave it to you, right? Go buy stuff on sale. Or go by the foot and sell by the inch, whatever you want to call that. And, that's awesome. So I know your journey. We talked about it on our one interview on my channel. Do you go into the whole story and talk about that one day where that event happened? Do you sort of get into that experience?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So the whole book really was to cover that. I saw a difference when I had the opportunity to first talk about the incident that happened to me March 30th, 2001, when I was at a Noted event last year in November, and we had a 10-minute TED Talk we had to do. And that was the first time that I've ever, in 18 years, really told people in my industry that my backstory of what happened to me. And, it was felt like such a release.
Yes.
To let that out and share that with everyone. So I felt it was important to touch on that in the book. How I got started and then what happened. And for those of you listening, in 2001, March 30th, I was actually shot 5 times. And this was basically because I was in the community where I grew up from. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. I, gave jobs to people, in the hood, that I grew up with, and we were paying people in cash. And, what happened, unfortunately, the word got out, and, it was a robbery went wrong, and, I wound up being a victim of it. I survived it, which was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. When I tell people that, they're like, what do you mean? That's like tragic. I'm like, well, that actually gave me more motivation to live with purpose and to appreciate the small things like tying your freaking shoes, or, the things that people don't appreciate. You know what I'm saying? It really gave me more value out of life, and really more fulfilled with living life with purpose, and
Yeah.
really gave me the motivation. And I was just on fire after that, you know?
Yeah. So first off, I applaud you for putting in that in the book. I was hoping it was there because, tragedy can crush you or make you stronger. And I know you personally, and it's clearly made you stronger, and it's only going to make you stronger giving back. I've thankfully never had that kind of moment, but I know life after and before are going to be different. Your life
Absolutely.
March 29th and before is nothing like March 31st and after. I think March has 31 days. Yeah. But it's those challenges, those events that make us who we are as we grow older. And, having that fire, as you call it, you used that same word last time. I love that, right? Because to give back is awesome. So again, let's talk about the book. So you talk about your journey, you talk about that tragic day and how it made you a stronger person. What else can they find in this book?
Well, great. I mean, it talked about the leaps and bounds and basically the ebbs and flows and the challenges that I went through. So, I talk about my journey, how I came from sales and got into the real estate, how I got started, who got me involved, and my journey along that way, and talk about when the market crashed and, what did I pivot to when the market crashed, the hard times that I went through. Like many people who are market cycle tested, we've been tested. I went through a divorce. I went through a lot of financial hardship, and I really had to start all over again. So it talks about, my journey during that process and what I had to do to rebuild myself and the mindset that I had to shift to.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's when really a lot of meditation started to come into play. I was born Muslim, Sunni Muslim. We prayed 5 times a day. We did all these things. And as I got older and started doing more research and reading and started to meditate, I gravitated more to that. So when all of those things happened to me and all the doors closed, so to speak, I only had me really to dig deeper inside to try to, shift the mindset. And a lot of the meditation and things I was doing during that time, because it was quiet, right? Nothing was happening. It wasn't the everyday phone ringing off the hook like it is now. I had a lot of time, months to dig into myself and rebuild myself. And it was during that process where the light bulb went off. And I remember laying on the bed like, oh my God, what am I going to do? The world is coming to an end. And didn't want to get up, but didn't want to move forward. So it took a lot for me to really, but I needed that though. It was almost like when I got shot. I kind of needed that smack in the face to really build a stronger foundation and really grow. And then it talks about some of the things that I've gotten into after that, different types of real estate, short sales, and then eventually what led me into notes and what brings me into, what I do today to diversify the hybrid real estate investing. And the concept of the book really talks about my journey, but it's really, really, really talks about being diversified in real estate investing, whether you're doing buy and hold for cash flow purpose, whether you're doing fix and flips, tax liens, note investing, whether you're flipping properties. It talks about all of that, whether you invest in passively in a fund or rentals passively. It touches on all those types of on assets. And then it also talks about investing tax deferred, doing it through an IRA and stuff like that. So I really tried to dig deep and just give like a 30,000 foot view of things that you can get in without like making it so, a mundane process to understand it. More so new people can understand the concept and learn how to get started.
Yeah, I think books like yours and mine that are from people who are market cycle tested. I love that phrase that you use. Are important for people because this is what's going to happen. This happened last time. Is more and more people are going to be drawn to real estate investments as more and more people are making good money. And that's where we are right now. I would challenge folks that are getting interested today, which is closer to a peak than a bottom, that you should actively seek people who are celebrating and been through a full market cycle. That's what you have in Fuquan. That's what you have in my book. Because what you need to see are the indicators of, and you need to hear honest assessments of what worked and what didn't. Because we both have made mistakes. We both have talked about it. You'll find it in both our books. But that's vitally important. Anybody who's only invested the last 5 years, who is writing a book or talking about a course, that's going to be one-sided because the last 5 years have been awesome. It's been a seller's market. I would challenge you, again, we are closer to a peak than a bottom, and you need to start seeking people who have been through a full cycle. Would you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's really learning how to play in that rough market, right? It's not really, people are trying to figure out situations on, how to survive once it happened, but creating that diversified strategy will prevent you from failing. I think that like now I'm investing heavily in tax liens, which like 2 years ago I would have never thought that I'd be doing
Yep.
tax liens. I've always known about it, was educated on it, just pulled the trigger third quarter last year, was very successful in an auction in one of the counties that I invest in. And I was awarded 14 properties. And I just got 6 of the 14 from the sale in July. And now we're going to start rehabbing these properties. They're like 30 cents in a dollar. And this is at a market which is almost at the peak,
Yeah.
where I'm like, okay, let me pivot to something where I can continue to get that discount. So if the market something happens, I still have a buffer, a hedge against what's to come. So it's just understanding how to react to it and really diversifying your strategy and just not being stuck on one thing. Of course, if you're new, stay on that one thing, stay focused until you build mastery in it, and then start learning other strategies that can help you grow. I've been doing this for 20 years, so it's not like, I just started a couple of years ago and I'm trying this and trying that all over the place.
Yeah.
These are strategies that I now can put into play because I've built systems for the fix and flips, for the buy and holds, for my note business. And now I'm pivoted to tax liens, and this is something that's in its embryonic phases, and
Yeah.
I'm learning this. And I think it's a great strategy as well.
Yeah, I want to echo or repeat or whatever the right word is, something you just said, and that is if you're new, pick what you want to do. Pick what's going to be your thing and get mastery, to quote Fuquan on that. And by that, it means give it an honest effort, meaning not weeks, but likely months and maybe years to figure that out. And then as you evolve and the market cycle changes, you can add more things. But please don't think you can be a wholesaler, flipper, buy and hold, note investor equally well by doing a weekend class every other week for a month.
I definitely would agree to that.
Yeah, it's just not possible. My story, right? I was a simple buy and hold guy for 8 years in single family homes because that's all I knew. Then the market changed and I had to go do multifamily. And then the market changed. I had to go get hard money. And these are things that will happen, but I was myopic and focused on one thing until it just didn't work. And you can't figure that out in a weekend. I see too many people focused by the shiny object or the latest YouTube video. And I don't know if disappointment is the right word, but it's certainly wasteful effort when that happens. So when people get your book and they're reading it, does it, I don't know if it makes a recommendation yet because I've ordered it but don't have it. What is kind of the output of it? Is it kind of self-reflection, or what can someone get from it after they've read the last page and they put it down? What do you hope they've taken away?
Oh, so for sure, it's definitely self-reflection, and it's how to get started.
Yep.
In the business and the things that you should look for, and I put some links in there also that they can research and find more information. So it's more like a how-to,
Okay.
as well as talking about my journey. I try to point people in the right direction so they can avoid the pitfalls that I went through. And it talks about mindset. I'm really big on that. Having the right mindset before you start any type of investment. It talks about fund investing. It talks about how I started a fund, how I didn't even think I can manage and own a fund. How that got started, who gave me the idea, and how I built it out. So it really touches on all of that. I try to share a lot of my backstory and some of the things that I'm investing in and how I got started and what they can do as well to get started.
That's awesome. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Because again, real estate investing offers so many options to so many people, and it doesn't matter where you start, right? It just matters that you make a decision. And I would tell you to narrow your focus in the beginning versus expanding it, because when it's too wide, you might feel like you're making progress, but you're moving an inch on 7 different paths and you're really getting nowhere. So it's really about understanding stories from folks like Fuquan and go, okay, he told me all these things he's doing. He's got 20 years in the business, but which one kind of speaks to me? And again, when you read stories like this, you need to, often there's I don't know what you call it, a graph, a chart. There, you have either you have money or you have time. And usually it's that kind of understanding where you are on that means which thing you could start with, right? If you have time but no money, maybe it's wholesaling. If you have no time but you have money, maybe it's buy and hold, right? And it expands from there. So, what's one of the takeaways or links that maybe we can just give them a taste for in this video that they'll find in the book?
Well, takeaway is and let me find a link for you, but the links are
or a takeaway, whatever you'd like.
Well, takeaway is basically really learning how to calculate the risk that's involved, because a lot of people that get in started in real estate, the first thing they think is, I'm going to lose money. I want to do it where it's the safest way I can, where I don't want to put the money out. That's the biggest fear. So the takeaway is learning how to invest and be risk adjusted. There's always going to be challenges that's going to happen. That's going to be learning experiences, right? I've lost a lot on the way, but those were lessons that I've learned, and I was grateful when it happened to me, because it exposed the weaknesses that I had in my systems and processes and helped me put things in place. So learning how to take a calculated risk, learning how to invest in things that you know and fully understand, and also doing some type of joint venture structure with people to learn along the way. Active joint ventures. I'm not saying just give somebody the money and let them do what they need to do. If you truly want to be involved in this, if you're doing the 9-to-5 and you have hard-earned money that you saved in your IRA or whatever, and you want to diversify into a self-directed from a 401k to IRA and start doing it, you have to make the time. You have the time block to really actively be involved and learn this process. So if your partner, something happens to them, you can then take it and move along with it. So it's really, to do it yourself, if it depends on where you are.
Yeah.
And if not, if the takeaway is just be passive and invest in someone who you know, like, and trust. That's basically it.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. So I want to make sure we highlight, I don't know that I've interviewed anybody that has 3 books.
Oh, yeah. My second book.
Yeah, let's flash them.
This is actually the first book. This was the first book, and this book is about the note business. It's called Turning Distress into Success. And I'm going to send you a link to get this one out for free. I have a tiny URL. I'm going to send you this book if anyone's interested.
Okay.
You can post it wherever you post it is at, so people can get access to this one for free.
Nice.
This talks about the note business and my journey in the note business. It talks about all types of notes: real estate notes, automobile notes, boat loans, all the different types of notes that you can invest into, and basically taking defaulted assets, turning them from non-performing to performing, and then making a profit for them. So this is turning distress into success. And then I took a chance to write a
pamphlet,
a self-development book. And this was really tough because I was like, okay, I don't want to try to emulate, a Dale Carnegie or one of these guys. I want to try to see what can I write to motivate people. So I actually wrote this book, and it's set on a shelf. This pamphlet, actually, I released it. It's set on the shelf. I really didn't promote it because I didn't want people. I was afraid for people to see me as like a motivator. And I was like, what, let me just give it out. So I gave it out, and people were like, wow, this is really good. So, I started promoting it, but this one is called The Tire Kicker, and we all have that in us.
Yeah.
It's how to beat the mind game and seize the results you want most. And I talk about, the 3 pillars of success is, belief, action, and commitment, and taking steps towards that. And this is my topic on the TED Talk I did for 10 minutes where, it made a great impact to the crowd. I was able to promote this book, but it's on Amazon. All of these are on Amazon. If you go to Amazon and put my name in, Fuquan Bilal, you'll find the books there. And again, I'll send you the tiny URL for Turning Distress into Success. And
I will add
give
that will be in the description, people.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So just as we wrap this up, how can people follow you, reach out to you? How do you want them to, obviously go to Amazon for the books, but I know you have you're doing walkthrough Wednesdays. You're doing so much stuff. How can people follow you and just get connected with you?
So, it's on Instagram at Fuquan Bilal. I'm trying to build up my Instagram platform. So those of you who are on Instagram is at Fuquan Bilal. If you're on Facebook, it's the same thing, Fuquan Bilal on Facebook. Really just trying to stay really on the social media and stay out of the email and really build those platforms to communicate with people through there. I started doing the walkthrough Wednesdays just to give people a background of, the before and after views of the projects and the costs associated with it, to give the new people mainly what costs are involved, how long the projects took, and really try to create some engagement and conversation there to educate them on that platform. One of the goals that I made in December for this year was I want to educate 1,000 people.
Nice.
And the only way you can do, like, you know yourself, is by doing what we're doing now and putting it out on social media and giving the world opportunity to access this information. And then I actually go in and create, respond to these people. It's a lot of work, but I'm adding value, and that gives me my feeling of importance to connect with these people. I just put LinkedIn on fire. I had this LinkedIn account for so long. I put my blogs there, but I'm not really interacting that much because you have so many people spamming you, wanting to give you cellular services. But now I'm there and interacting with people who I know are true people who really need help, or where I can benefit from as well. So social media is where they can find me at.
Yeah, and again, he's one of those people that I follow and try to emulate. Frankly, I didn't really use Instagram until Fuquan's like, dude, what the heck are you doing? So I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
You got to start somewhere.
I got to start somewhere. I'm an old man. This is all new stuff to me. So I'm giving it a shot. So I want to thank you again for writing the book. I look forward to reading it. It's great when somebody gives back in an authentic way, talks about their story, what worked, what didn't. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I always have a great time when I talk to you. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Get your copy at Amazon. Passion for Real Estate Investments, The Making of a Strategic Real Estate Investor. Catch you guys soon.
You got it. That's perfect. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thanks a lot.